the first video for lesson 7 got cut off, so I'm just going to pick up with the next video. But what I was saying is, if you want to stop lesson 7, stop this video, do that independent practice or practice it, that's fine with the models, or you can watch this video and do both of them together. That choice is yours. Remember, I don't care which way. If you use the models on both or don't use the models on both, that choice is yours. It's whatever works best for you. So, we're going to go ahead and get started on lesson 8. Which is just simply writing our fractions as our decimals. And I'm telling you, as you get older, you're just going to know what 2/5 as a decimal is. Once it becomes clear, it's going to be quick, easy. You're not going to have to divide and multiply and make these fractions equivalent. You'll just know them. We'll practice them more and more as we go. So now example 1 says the average weight of a tennis racket is 2/5 of a pound. Write the weight as a decimal. So if we write the weight as a decimal, we're going to write 2/5 as equivalent fractions with a denominator of 10. And 10 is because it's closest to 5 with its multiples. Remember, our options are basically 10, 100, and 1,000. Okay, so 5 is closest to 10, so that's what we're going to use. So to get 5 with a denominator of 10, we got to multiply it by 2. So 2 times 5 is 10. And then what you do to the bottom, you also do to the top, which is going to be 4. So now we're going to write the fraction with the denominator as 10 as a decimal. And 2/5 also equals 4/10. And we know what 4/10 as a decimal is. We know 4/10 means 4/10 or 4/10. We know that. We've done that. So 2/5 as a decimal is 0.4 or 4/10. Okay. You can use a place value chart to read the decimal. Read the decimal. It reads 4/10. And remember, there is a place value chart above the whiteboard by the clock, and you also have one in your desk, or you should have one in your desk. I remember giving it to you at the beginning of the year. So the average weight of a tennis racket is 4/10 of a pound. Okay, so example 2 says write 3/4 as a decimal. So 4 is not equivalent to 10. But it is equivalent to 100. Not equivalent, I'm sorry. It's got a common multiple. A least common multiple of 4 is also 100. It does not go into 10. So we're going to make our denominator 100. And 4 times 25 is going to give us our 100. How I think of fourths is quarters. I know there's 4 quarters in a dollar, so 25. 4 times 1 quarter is $1. That's kind of how I remember fourths is it's $1. What you do the bottom, you also do to the top. So 3 times 25 is 75. So now we know 75 hundredths as a decimal is 0.75. So 3/4 is also equal to 75 hundredths. It's 75 over 100 means 75 hundredths, or 0.75, which is also 75 hundredths. So if we read it as a decimal, it reads 75 hundredths. I'm sorry you can't see this, but I'm left-handed and that's how it goes. And I will make sure you see it when I am done writing. So when we read the decimal, we read it as 75 hundredths. Okay? Or 75 pennies out of 100 pennies, or $1. I think of fourths as quarters. Anytime it is in the hundredths, always try to think of it as money. It will be a lot easier. So now we're going to write 1/5 as a decimal. And a multiple of 5 we know is 10. It's the closest one. So we're going to use 10 as our denominator. So 5 times 2 is 10. And what you do the bottom, you also do the top. So 2 times 1 is 2. So 1/5 and 2/10 are equivalent fractions. So 2/10 written as a decimal is 2.2 or 2/10, and we read it as 2/10. So we're kind of taking fractions, decimals, and our words and combining them all into one. So now we have 11/25 as a decimal. So 25, it's bigger than 10, so we're not going to use 10, so we're going to go straight to 100. So 25 times 4 is going to give us our 100. And then what you do the bottom, you also do to the top. So we have 11 times 4 is 44. So we have 44 hundredths. And we know we can write 44 hundredths like that, 0.44. And it's going to read 44 hundredths. Sorry, I had to go into the little guy a little bit, but so that is how you just simply do it without making our models. It's essentially the same thing. It's just saving you a step. Just know, always read your fraction. Say it to yourself in your head. And if this says 2/10, you know how to write the decimal 2/10. Use your place value chart. You're more than welcome to use your whiteboard if you need to. But that is lesson 8. And since we are doing 2 lessons in one day, you do not have to do the homeworks. This is lesson 7's in practice it. I didn't get a chance to post it on the video because I was going to do both of them together, but it cut me off. So this is your lesson 7. You are to do that. You are to do lesson 8, independent practice also. So once you do 7 and 8, practice it and independent practice, you are more than welcome to do the homeworks that go along with these. And remember, for every one you get correct on your homeworks, that are not assigned, I should say, your homeworks that are not assigned, you will get extra credit. And what I will do is I will take a half a point per question you get right and add it to your score for that independent practice or practice it or whatever that may be. So essentially, if you get done and you want to do more and you want to get extra credit or get a better score on something, you may do the homeworks. You don't have to. That is your choice. But you do those and then you will get points added on to your independent practices, and it will essentially raise your grade.